Welcome back. This is in fact uh, part 6.2 of Flat Earth versus Globe. Yes, the experiment. Now, in the first half, you told us that it took about 2 days. You decided to sit down and work it out, and it took you about 2 days to work it out.
More or less, and then you just gather up more information as you go along by studying a lot of things. You have to go right through physics, meteorology, everything, the whole spectrum. You got to learn a lot about everything to understand and get the big picture. And then synchronicity kicks in when you're on a path. So one example would be I'm working on the whiteboard in the office with the down and out system of the flat. I can't remember, it's a long time ago now. I walk out for a break, turn on the TV, and there's Santos Benassi describing the down and out, up and in of his system, the way he describes everything in astrotheology.
Yeah.
It fitted in with the physics I was doing at the time with the flat earth. So things like that were happening all the time. And then studying, watching Ken Wheeler and going, boom, yeah, that worked. That's right. Yeah. It sort of all adds up. And just, the magnetic fields of the earth coming around to the tropics, it shows in meteorology. And everything just added up. So, and then it took a while to understand this expansion and contraction, which boils back to magnetism again, except it's electromagnetism. And that's what our heart is. It's works on electromagnetism. You can sit still and the heart's still pumping, right? It's a vortex. And with the Earth system, they're still fixed and stationary, but the magnetic field's still pumping. So you could say one pump is a tropical year, there and back. And how many times has our heart pumped in that time? So, understanding magnetism is one thing, but then you go on to understand why this Mercator map, why is everything expanding out? And that's when you have to realize that nothing's actually physical in our realm. It's all based on sound, light, resonance. So, and in a vacuum, there's no sounds, there's no light. This is our realm, and it comes from the vacuum. And the vacuum is the center vortex of creation, which is hidden in the Arctic center. And we can't get to the dead center. That's why they called it hundreds of years ago the place of inaccessibility. So understanding that everything expands as you move south out from the Arctic, and it's all relative to the observer. So he's not to know. And then he contracts back as he goes north. And this is what Gleason obviously knew. And he's drawn it all here, and it all works properly. So 15 degrees back in the center here in arcs of longitude is 15 degrees out here. So time over distance is still equal when traveling in an aeroplane, whether you're up in the north doing 15 degree, around the earth, or 15 degree out around the southern hemisphere. And that's why they also invented the Mercator map, showing all the arcs of longitude are all dead parallel, because they are all equal time over distance if your speed's equal. So that's a hard one for people to get their head around, knowing that everything expands. Like in those days, there were giants. So when they're talking about the physics of the earth in the Bible, they're talking about what happened in the southern hemisphere, and they're talking about this declination and the seasonal change when the southern hemisphere comes up and in. They're the giants coming up and in, and then you kill the giants off going back out again, sort of thing. Or kill them as they're coming in, maybe. whatever. But anyway, it's getting your head around that. And being a toroidal field, I don't understand why these flat earthers can't understand the concept of a sun in the Antarctic 24 hours if there's one in the Arctic. Because that's how a toroidal field works, in and out. The sun's in the Arctic, it's going to come out to the outer perimeter, back in, out. Why can't they understand that concept that there's a 24-hour sun out there? I don't know.
Well, you knew about the 24-hour sun in the Antarctic. It must have been about 2022 that you started talking about that sort of thing.
Well, that's right. Initially, I went with science. If they say it is, so then it sort of made sense. Why would they lie about that? So I had to figure out how that works. And then, one thing leads to another. And before you know, you've got the whole model and you can understand how it works now. And I've done videos regarding the Bible about the declination. Thank you. And it's all in there. It's in there in the Bible. What's this referring to? I haven't got it on the top of my mind, but it's when the field comes out. It's all about degrees. And they're telling the story some other way, but it's degrees because the sun, they tell you live on a ball and the earth is flying around the sun. So that flying around the sun is actually the magnetic field moving north and back again. So you can imagine it going around the center, the southern hemisphere rotation revolving around the center north every day, one rotation because it's mirrored out from the north, center north. When that turns, it's reflecting a mirror image out around the south.
Have you got your little model with you? For the different fields, the field in the center and the 5 or 6 fields.
Well, I can just draw it on here.
Might be behind you somewhere. Where you can turn it and it shows everything turning at the same time.
Oh, well, this thing.
That one, that's the one right behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, so as the center turns, it's mirroring out all the way around. But people are getting hooked on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, there's not 6, it's infinite. Everybody's on a meridian, north to south, so he's seeing his own image. So if you're on that meridian, that's your night sky. That's all you're going to see. You can star trail these stars all night long in this circular pattern, but they're not doing circles because they're all wandering all the way around here. In reality, but for you, the individual, that star is basically coming around here, disappearing, coming back around in the morning.
That's in the southern field, yeah.
But really, the star is going all the way around here, back again. So this is why nothing ever changes. Everything is cyclical. So when they tell you, oh, shit, an asteroid's coming or whatever, or there's an asteroid or whatever, it's all BS. It's just all part of the cycle. And nothing above us is physical. There's nothing physical above us, there's nothing spiritual below our feet. That's what they say. So it's just knowing that NASA lying to you all the time. Nothing up there can affect us. They're all projections. And it's so understanding the motion is understanding the vortex, the electromagnetism, contracting in and out. So it sort of takes you into understanding expansion and contraction.
So what would you say asteroids are?
Asteroids, haven't really thought about it, but they're cyclical. Nothing's new. Plasma bursts, like all the what do you call all those star rotations you see in the night sky and the close-ups and NASA pictures, nebulas. They're all plasma bursts from the time of creation. So nothing's new because we all live in a moment of time, that moment of creation. It's just somehow being drawn out, but it's cyclical. We're in that one moment of time. So the whole night sky is of that moment in time. You understand?
Yeah. What? Okay, you mentioned that you used the Bible to understand flat Earth, or
A lot of that, but I always forget the name of it. There's another book, really well.
the Iliad.
No, before that it was. No, I can't think. But anyway, I was reading that at the same time as reading some ancient Egyptian information, and they're all marrying, and it basically gave me the whole model. Then I went on to the Iliad, and that described the whole tropical boundary, because the tropical boundary is Troy. You got the two armies, the Akkadians and the Trojans doing battle, and that's the forces of magnetism, and the dielectric is the Troy, right? And this is where you create the sun. The only time the magnetic fields of both hemispheres cross or enter the tropics is to spin around the sun and then shoot up. And Nigel Cheese draws the magnetic cycle doing this, come around, spin, and then shoots up. Well, it comes around, spins around the sun, shoots up through the Milky Way, because the sun is at the end of the Milky Way. It's going a bit deep. I lose people talking about stuff like that, but yeah. So what are we talking about?
So I've heard you say that your concept is built on your own inspiration.
No, I'm just putting it all together from the ancients. My wife makes a really nice flat white. Perfect. Well, my new lady friend. It just opened my mind to figuring it all out, because I knew they were lying to us when I realized what happened on 9/11. So that sort of opened your mind up, thinking, what else are they lying about? And that took me on a big journey of history. All the history we've been told is pretty much a lie. All the Roman stories all come about from the story of creation, just like any mythological story. The artifacts you find in the ground are just part of history, our past, but all their stories about the Rome and the Colosseum and the lions being fed to the humans, it's all part of the creation story. This lion always represents Leo. It's all about a time of the year, and Rome is basically where you get the word roaming from. The magnetic field's roaming.
So you'd feed Christians to the lions in July, a time of
Pardon?
Leo. You feed the Christians to the lions mythologically, yeah, at the time of Leo.
Oh, I don't know about that. No, I haven't put that story together, but no, because the Roman Colosseum represents the vortex of creation. It's tiered. This is what the pyramids go the other way, and they're representing the declination of the sun over the year. The big Teotihuacan, how do you say that word? It's written down here somewhere. The big pyramid in Mexico, the Teotihuacan, whatever it is, that's even showing you the shaded region where the sun's crossing is in the analemma, because all the divine stories about that crossing, but all the connections have been made. It's all been laid down for us, and we've got to put it all together. And like it says in the Bible somewhere, where was I going with that? Oh, we will go down and confound their languages. Well, basically, they're gone down, and you've got a word here in this language. You've got to bring this other word, the meaning of this other language. They all come together to form this jigsaw puzzle and create the story. So they're in all these different cultures. So when you go study the etymology of a word, you've got to work on the sound and look at all the cultures, their versions, and you get a picture going on, which helps the story. And all the mythological stories are all about the physics of Earth. Even these ancient stories like King Arthur. And if you read King Arthur's story, go and read the Myths of Avalon. Is the feminine version. It's about the moon, because it's only about the sun and the moon and what's getting on. But they're all spiritual stories about the one and only purpose of life. And people don't even know what that is. And the meaning of life is to go through your rebirth, your spiritual birth, your spiritual connection. That's the virgin birth, because you're not physically flipping born to a virgin, or a grown man cannot be born again physically, can he? Like become a baby. It's all silly stuff. It's just a big story describing the event. And every man on earth has to go through that event to leave this stupid realm of lies. It's all lies because the second state, it's not real. It's a projection from the original state, the truth, singularity. So as a second state, it's a story of BS, basically. And you've got to work it out.
Well, taking that into account, what would you say the ascension is then?
The ascension?
Yeah, moving up into the singularity?
That's right. Ascension will come at your physical birth. If you have to go through this divine awakening while you're alive in the physical world. Otherwise, you die and come back in another form. You might not come back as a human next time. This is why you've got to respect all animals. And while the old ancients were not vegan, but vegetarians,
like
so they're trying to tell you. You're trying to tell you're probably eating your cousin or your mother or father of the past life. So we all might have to go through the whole animal kingdom, because like the Veda, the Buddhists or whatever, they say we go through millions of reincarnations, cycles. And depending on how thick you are, you're just going to go through more than the other guy. So the more you learn now from what I'm giving you, the quicker you might ascend, go through your awakening. Or if you don't go through it, at least your mind is open for the next cycle. You're closer to the goal, the free pass go, where you leave this matrix and become singular, one with the whole universe. It's divine. Like people talk about when you die, you want your partner to go with you or whatever, but that's only in the dual world, this physical world where you're separated. Back to singularity, you are one. You long for nothing. And in your spiritual awakening here on earth, you become one and you long for nothing too. You don't need a partner because you're one with God. And people think you're a religious nutter when you mention that. And I've never been religious. I was never religious. And it just makes you one. It's amazing, out of this world concept, and it's described in the Colburn Bible. You can't put it in words because the average person can't comprehend it. There's not enough words to describe it. There's no way they'll click on. And I can see this quite obvious because I only have to talk about something really basic and people just aren't clicking onto it. It's like showing them a big picture right in their face and they still can't see it.
Would you say that you need to use ESP, extrasensory perception, to really understand it?
No, because no, when you do wake up, you've actually opened your third eye, your mind's eye. So your mind you can pick up an average book that you can read, and this third eye mind of this awoken person reads this other story there, because everything is resonance. And because he's on a higher frequency now, he's picking up this higher frequency, this higher resonance, and there's a whole spiritual story in there that the lower frequency, lower chakra people cannot see or understand. So he can read this whole story and he'll go and show someone, hey, shit, look what this says. He goes to read it to them and oh, it's gone. It's not there.
They've stolen it.
It's only in his head. That's why they say you're crazy and they burn you at the stake and all that stuff, because you know more than this other dude.
Yeah, but when you lose it like that, it's as if the other person has sucked it out of your brain and they can't understand it and you've lost it.
Well, no, you can go back to it, but you just, I don't know, it's just not for the lower, we're just, like there's this wall between the higher consciousness and the lower consciousness, and to try and get across here to explain to them, if they're not open to it, maybe I could explain it. Maybe it's there if I'm talking to someone who's really awake to it. But if you're really brain dead, I can't. It's just a weird thing. So I don't know. But that's the meaning to life, is to wake up your third eye, which is the whole Jesus story. Become, or in what do you call it? Philosophy, the initiate. You become the initiate, the wise one, because you've opened up your third eye. In Christianity, Jesus represents that awoken one, or Horus, or even Spock on Star Trek. Spock was the wise one. He's the awoken one. And Chekhov. I just noticed the word Chekhov in something I was reading in the Torah, Genesis story, I think it was. So they knew, when they started Star Trek, they knew all the secrets. And this is where the field, what they call that field? The force field. Because they'd done that, so they call it the force field. You can't get out of the magnetic field, which is the flux of the Earth. Earth's like a magnet. Okay?
Yeah, you're part of the flux, and you can't just get out of the flux because you're part of it.
Yeah. So you go so far to the end of the magnet, the Antarctic, and the pressure's holding you in, because you've got to look at it inside out. Like, instead of we being in the pressure's out there and it's holding us in. Like we're inverted to creation. And we are. This realm is inverted to creation. Our Earth is the inertial plane between the two forces of magnetism, two forces of nature. And this is why everything falls back to the plane of inertia. You get up there in an airplane, jump out, and you're going to fall back to the plane. And why is terminal velocity close to the Earth? Because the magnetic flux is flipping stronger near the magnet, isn't it? Why are you not falling quicker up top there in the thinner air, thinner atmosphere? Terminal velocity is down here, where the pressure is closer to the magnet. It's easily, it's a no-brainer.
Okay. Well, you've just talked about the flux and the Bible. So in your mind, in your concept, where would you find the firmament?
Well, the firmament is the is in the flux, is in the atmosphere, and it's all layered. There's 7 layers. And within the 7 layers is 7 layers. And inside the 7 layers is another 7 layers. It's like a Mandelbrot. So it's understand these inertial gaseous layers all get broken down through ionization as they step up thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. Because what's happening, that's the Earth's recycling system, where the winds come from the Arctic, draw everything toward the tropical gap and get drawn up through the tropics, purified as they step up or reduce in pressure. They're being purified, and that's why you had deserts on both sides of the tropics, because all the crap is falling into the deserts, you could say. As the pure hydrogen goes right up, becomes helium, the sun, and it goes through the Milky Way, which is through the sun. The Milky Way is the pipeline or the umbilical cord or a straw that goes from our created realm, the tropical gap, over to the Arctic center, where the real pure plasma unseen sun is. So everything's getting purified in its recycling system up and over through the sun, hits the sun, then all trickles down in a mist into the Arctic center, into the Buford Gaia, which is all pure water, pure fresh water. What's the pure fresh water, Gaia in the Arctic Ocean? What's it doing there?
Do they have something similar in the south as the Beaufort Gaia?
No.
Only in the north?
Because in the north it's centralized. In the southern hemisphere, it's all around. There's no one Beaufort Gaia or water, what do you call them? Spiral thing?
Vortex.
Sinkhole. See, the Beaufort Gaia would have a big sinkhole at the middle, center, where the water's being drawn down through the earth, subterranean, and that's our fresh water supply through the earth. And in the mythological stories even talk about this thing being a magnet and being sucked into the center of the hole, when they're just describing the center of the Beaufort Gaia, basically. And whether it's physically, whether that physically happens or not is another thing, because a lot of these stories are spiritually connected. So physically, you might not go in there and get sucked down, but they're describing the whole situation, the physics. So, and it's clockwise, and then you look down on the earth, it's clockwise. So that image sent up into the night sky is anti-clockwise. As above, so below, or so below as above. And so you got the anti-clockwise star rotation in the northern hemisphere, and it's mirrored the opposite in the southern hemisphere. So all the stars from the north are actually the stars in the south. But due to the expansion and the inverse, it's a mirror. It's mirrored.
Parabolic image.
What?
It's a parabolic image.
Yeah, because the curving toroidal field of the southern hemisphere, everything gets projected back to the observer. And they're even doing all this in studios now, where they've got a big curved screen, because our realm is just like a TV. All the pixels in the TV, all resonance. We're vibrating, resonance, vibrating so fast we look solid. Same thing. Now they're getting these big curved studios, and it brings back a parabolic image. That's what parabolic mirrors do. It sends the image back to the observer. And this is why if you go beyond 85 degrees, I don't think you see the sun, because you're too close to the reflector screen. You have to be back for it to be projected from the north to the parabolic screen of the outer toroidal field to be cast back to the observer. But there's a lot to that. and it's understanding the sun, how the sun pops into the Antarctic after the 17th of October, when the overlay, it pops out and separates, where you've got completely two separate star rotations now. The sun pops out all the way around the south, but at the same time you've got an image of the sun back towards, New Zealand, Australia. We see that image. At the same time, there's a 24 sun going all the way around on the outer perimeter. But it's a long story. But it's all described in the Bible. On the 17th day of the second month, it's 40 days and 40 nights when you start working this system of declination. Bang, pops out, 17th of October. They tell you in the science books, come the equinox, the sun pops into the southern hemisphere. Well, the equinox is the 23rd of September, but it actually happens 17th of October. It's only 3 weeks difference, is it? 3 weeks difference. So, yeah, that's something to think about.
Right. And also you use ancient Egypt to understand the...
Well, that's where it all initially came from. I can't remember now. That goes way back, but they've got information splattered everywhere, and it's all about the divine event, like the light bulb. What do they call that light bulb? Sakara light bulb or something or other. Everybody thinks it's a light bulb.
Yeah.
When really it's the Milky Way. It's describing the Milky Way, or what's inside the Milky Way, the bloody sun.
The battery. Yeah, you're talking about the battery and...
No, not the battery. No, there's a big, long, elongated...
Yeah, it comes from the battery, I think.
No, they call it something bulb, light bulb. They think it's a light bulb. They connect it with Tesla's information and that. They don't realise it's the Milky Way, and in some pictures there's two of them because the Milky Ways come around and line up at the divine time of the year.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to finish in just a moment. Yeah, this is going to finish. So perhaps you can tell people where they can find you if they want to watch your videos. Now, I will put some links to your videos underneath this video in the description box. But if you'd like to just tell us where they can find you mainly, are you on X? Twitter?
No. I'm not a computer person, so I don't show all the fancy stuff people show. I don't even know how to share a screen or do any of that sort of stuff. I'm only on YouTube, pretty basic videos. I know how to edit them on using the YouTube app. That's about it. So you find me at the Tomb of Illumination on YouTube, but lately I've been putting, most of my videos go on my Patreon, which is, and they won't link my Patreon to my YouTube. And I don't even think they link my Facebook to it. They're forever doing stuff.
Oh, you've got a Facebook.
Pardon?
You've got you're on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, I put a lot of posts on Facebook. If you can dig through all my anti-establishment stuff. But yeah, I'm on Facebook, Lyndsay Harris. I put up some pretty good posts there, actually, but go over most people's heads, and I might have like 300 followers, but only 5 will be, well, up to 20 will be, corresponding or liking what I say. But most people are not up with what I know, and I'm talking to myself, but I'm putting it on Facebook as a record so I can go back to it and then Google, and or whoever running Facebook went and deleted everything off Facebook recently. Did you get that message? They said because they changed the system, and so all the videos.
Yeah, they got rid of all the videos.
everything you've got on Facebook all got deleted a
Yeah.
couple of months ago.
Reset.
Yeah, it's a reset. Yeah. And talking about research, you notice, well, if you've been investigating stuff over the years, they're always changing their information. And now, if you go on Google and ask a question, you can't copy that information now. You go up top, just push the old 3 dots or whatever, get a copy of the link, send it somewhere. Can't do that now. So, and they're forever hiding the truth,
Yeah.
hiding history. It's just all lies.
Yeah.
I find TikTok's quite interesting. A lot of great information on TikTok. I'm on TikTok, but I only do a couple of posts now and then on there.
Well, let me just say that it's been great speaking to you. It's the first time I've had such a long time speaking to someone in this spiritual manner. Yes, and I've seen all your videos. Yeah, and they are brilliant. Once you get your mind around what you're saying, they are brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I've gone back over a lot of old ones to try and edit out all the garbage.
yeah, you recently reposted about the sun not being a fiery ball.
Yeah, well, well, I've just clicked on to what Triple Crow's saying, 777 or Triple Crow or something or other,
Crow triple.
and related the sun, the images he's showing to the what's in esoteric stories in the Bible about the wheat, because the sun in those images looks like a wheat field. So how many times do they mention wheat in the Bible? Heaps of times. Threshing, and crop circles. Crop circles are all about creation. They go back to the sun, and all the images are in the crop circle, which is the wheat. You could say wheat fields, or they all look the same. Giving all these images of sacred geometry, which is all right back there at the center of creation. How the moon cycles work, all sorts. There's all sorts in there. I can sort of break down, well, at least quite a few of the crop circle designs, what they all represent, and they tell us, they understand 90% of them, but they're only relating them to geometry designs, and that they don't know what it means. So what they do, that's a geometrical design, but they don't know what it means. I know what they're trying to tell us. So that's all connected with the sun being a wheat field. It's quite deep, but anyway, I've done a video. They're all on my Patreon though. So when they've been on my Patreon for a while, I will now and then go and then put the odd one on YouTube. But I put a video up yesterday on YouTube, a little bit about the magnetism if people are interested. It's not a great video, but it's got some information there you would never have heard before or seen. So you'll always get something out of my videos. So it's worth taking a look.
Yeah, and it's a pity that Shiva didn't come back to us. Shiva and his CEO for England, they both went silent. They both ran away. Yeah, there were 10 flat earthers coming to show them the truth, and they ran away. So that's very sad. But
well, did they hear the